I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 94. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. It means a lot. For some reason, the last few weeks, I have gotten the chance to virtually meet a few people who have said, oh my gosh, I listen to your podcast every week and I love, these are my favorite episodes, and we get into conversation about it. And I see how you guys have been implementing what you've been hearing and learning on the podcast. And I just want to say that makes my heart just explode with joy and excitement, because that is why I show up here every week, is for you. I show up every week to give you some things to think about differently, to implement in a way that's going to change things for you, for real, change things, the trajectory that you're on, and help you make your dreams come to fruition when it comes to your law firm and leading the life that you really want to lead, having the life you want to have, not just the firm you want to have. It's all enmeshed, and people want to separate things out. And there's a time and a place to look at things from one angle and then look at things from another angle. But it's really, when you look at things holistically, everything works better. And so that's what I try to bring to this podcast, is a chance for you to really build what you're building holistically, not at the cost of you and you making your dreams come true with the firm you always imagined and the lifestyle that comes with that. It's all possible. And it's a privilege to get to be in your ears every week to help with that. And it's a privilege to get to work with you. Those of you who I get a chance to work with as a client, it's a privilege. So if you've been thinking about taking things to the next level, from listening to actually working with me and inside of Velocity Work, I highly recommend that you plug in. We have a sprint coming up. You can plug in doing that, which is short commitment, 30 days, and that's it. In and out, and it's life-changing work. It is you creating a result that you have been having on the back burner, or it's been in your mind, or you started it and you stopped, whatever, but a result that you really want to complete and create for your firm or for yourself. And how to show up to do that. We can guide you with what you're going to pick. Like, that doesn't need to be the barrier. If you want to get in the game, get in the ring, and actually apply the things that you listen to on this podcast, come and join the sprint. When this drops, the June sprint, the doors are closing the day after this originally drops, this podcast episode drops. And so go check it out. It's velocitywork.com/sprint. If there's still space available, there will be a button there that allows you to enroll. And if there's not, then you can get on the wait list for the next one, which the next one will be in September. But I highly recommend kick off your summer, end Q2 strong, and kick off your summer with this life-changing work. Things won't be the same when you're done. They never are. And that's why people keep returning to them, which I love. And it's such a privilege. You know, once you get in there and you have 30 days with me and with the people that are part of the community inside of Velocity Work, then you'll get a sense, like, is this something you want to keep working with us? There's options for that. But it's a good way to really immerse yourself, make a huge difference for yourself in your world, and then you can make a call if it makes sense to continue working with us or not. So join us. Come and join us. Come and join the fun. It's going to be great. All right. Today's topic is one that I could talk about endlessly. There's so many facets to consider with what we're going to be talking about today. And really, the whole point of the conversation that I'm going to be handing you today, to think about, to have conversations with those around you, to journal about, is to help you reframe how you're thinking about the growth that you are creating for the firm. And whether that's like massive growth is the name of the game for you, or whether it's just, no, I want to get to this because I think it's going to give me this lifestyle. So it's not about just blowing things up to blow things up, right? And by the way, there's nothing wrong. Whatever your desire is in terms of growth for your firm is exactly what it should be. Some of you, when I work with you, some of you I do push to think bigger, but not because just to think bigger. It is because of the concepts we're going to be talking about today, which is what it forces you to become something much different. And, there's a lot of talk in the world about this cycle of continuous improvement. And I see value there. So this isn't to dog this idea, just continuously improve. I do think that's a really beautiful way of looking at things and to tweak things. But if the person driving the change, if the person driving the firm and like the owner, the visionary, isn't tapped into what we're going to be talking about today, the results you create are going to be underwhelming and probably frustrating at many points. Doesn't matter what you're shooting for, they will be underwhelming if all you're thinking about is continuous improvement. It's a very slow way to go, and it's very difficult when you have a team that, everyone's kind of resistant to change on some level, that as you have to grow and change with your firm, if you just have this mindset of continuous improvement, that's going to be a problem at some point, because what has been working for you now with the firm that you are creating is not going to get you wherever it is that you want to go. And so continuous improvement at some point becomes tedious and extremely slow and sluggish and difficult because you're working within the same mental framework and the same systems and the same everything that you've used to get yourself where you are now. And there is an advantage that you can use when you look at things differently and not from a continuous improvement cycle, like step by step by step, continuous improvement towards where you want to go, but an overhaul, like a reinvention. What needs to happen here for real if we want to achieve what we want to achieve in the ways that we want to achieve these things? So I'm slowly rolling into this, but here's the truth. I believe with every cell of my being that velocity work is the future of law firm consulting. And the reason I believe that is because the approach that we take with people is a holistic approach that matters when you're talking about growth. Anyone out there can help you grow for the sake of growth and feel organized along the way. And there's a lot of value, I think, with no matter who you're working with. But I do believe that the special sauce that we bring to the table has a lot to do with the conversation that I'm going to present to you today. So as I mentioned earlier, there is this notion that continuous improvement is a very healthy thing to be involved in. You're always looking for how you can change and improve. And I don't disagree with that. Like I'm not, there's a time and a place for that is what I'm saying. But the truth is change is a function of altering what you're doing to improve something that's already possible within your current reality. Transformation is different. And for some people, that feels like a dramatic word to use with their law firm. Like, well, I don't know if I need a transformation of my law firm. Some of you listening to this will say, yep, that's what I need. Some of you listening to this will say, I don't know that I need a transformation. But transformation is the way to go and to think about things as a leader, because transformation is a function of altering the way that you're being to create something that currently is not possible in your current reality. So it's almost like, okay, we have this current reality. We have the firm that we have right now, and we can either work on continuous improvement and focus on change. Like we could think about it, change is the word that we would associate with the continuous improvement. And we're going to tweak what we're doing and tweak what we're doing and tweak what we're doing. And that will keep us within the realm that we're already in terms of reality, in terms like what we're creating. Transformation is different. And I think it's very helpful and useful for an owner to think in terms of transformation, because then all of a sudden, yes, you have the firm you have right now, but if you're going to transform things in your reality to match what you're really wanting, the end game that you're really wanting, that requires something different. Continuous improvement will never get you there. What will get you there is evaluating and altering your way of being. As an organization, yes. But here's what I want to talk about in this episode, that has to start with you as the owner. Another word that I like a lot when thinking about transformation, instead of just change, but like transformation, is reinvention, because it brings a really fresh perspective. And when I say reinvention, it doesn't mean you have to scrap everything before. It's just a different mental frame as you're approaching where you're going. You're going to have to be willing to reinvent the way things are currently done, the way things that run, and so that you can really get to this place, this end game for yourself, whatever it is that you're aiming for. And listen, when I say end game, that may be a revenue goal. That may be a way of life, a way that you want to operate in your own life, the freedom that you desire that you don't currently feel like you have. Whatever it is, right? Whatever you are shooting for and whatever you're clearly shooting for, that's what I'm talking about. Taking the mental approach of reinvention or transformation as you're heading towards that is very different and will speed everything up versus thinking about continuous improvement. Okay, and listen, if you are going to reinvent your law firm, then in order to succeed with that, you must first reinvent yourself. You know, I was just talking to an attorney who has his own firm and they have 5 locations. And I've talked to him a lot actually lately because we may be working on something together to bring to other law firm owners that might be helpful. But I've had a lot of conversations with him. And in the most recent conversation, he said, we were talking about what it takes to go from one level to the next. Meaning there's a difference between 100K and 200K. There's a difference between 200K and 400K. There's a difference between 400K and 500 and then 750 and then a million and then 1.5. There's a different set of things you have to think about. There's a different set of challenges. It's a different game. At every level, it's a different game. And that's one thing he and I are working on is how can we come up with a bit of a framework to prepare people for that no matter where they are, and to give you a glimpse of the kinds of barriers you're going to experience at the next level, the next level, the next level. And I think that's all really helpful because it gives you, law firm owners, clarity about what to expect as they grow. But listen, the reason there was a time where I was hesitant to put something together like this. And the reason is because when you are looking for a recipe, you will not fulfill your potential. It won't happen. So when you're looking for a recipe to abide by, when you're looking for a model to use in order to think for yourself, that is very different. But when you're looking for a recipe and these are the things to do with this marker and then this marker and this marker, there is zero chance that one recipe is what fits most people. I actually don't even know that it would fit any one law firm the same as it would another. I don't think that that's true. I think you have to think for yourself. And so we've been talking about what are the kinds of things they're going to have to think through at these milestones. And that I'm okay with. That I'm very willing to share with people and have those conversations. And so we're working on something together that will touch on that. But it was just further proof as I'm talking to him that continuous improvement won't work. You have to reinvent yourself at every stage, for every next level. And that is real transformation, and being willing to have that approach, that transformative approach, instead of just changes along the way kind of approach. It's a mental framework. That's it. Because if you do have the mental frame of, okay, how do I need to think about where I'm going next? What do I need to transform in order to get there? How do I need to reinvent this organization in order to get there? And then you always come back to you, and you do it as you, as the leader and as the owner first. Law firm reinvention efforts, law firm transformation efforts to really do what we're talking about here fail because when law firm owners don't focus on reinventing themselves, they don't have the kind of power necessary to succeed. So what that means is that reinventing yourself is a prerequisite for reinventing your law firm. Period. This is the thing that people do not focus on enough when they're helping law firm owners grow their firms. Without this, you will fall short in ways that are so frustrating and you can't understand why. You think to yourself, I've been doing what I'm told. I've been following this cycle of continuous improvement. I've been changing things inside of the organization. I've been doing all the right things. But the problem is that when law firm owners don't understand that they have to start with themselves and they have to be the kind of person, the kind of owner that can have and can create that result that they're wanting to create, it speeds everything up in a really beautiful way, not in a scary way. It speeds everything up, meaning there's efficiency. The ride towards the result you want to, where you want to be and what you're creating, that next level for yourself, is much more smooth. Doesn't mean it doesn't have its own set of issues. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But when you are showing up differently and when you become that next level, then it really allows your firm to get to the next level more effortlessly. You know how to handle the things that come up because of how you are operating. You are in more control. You don't feel as reactive. You're more proactive. You aren't as frustrated and as short with things because you really understand a broader perspective. And all of that comes down to making sure that you are being who you need to be in order to create that next level that you want to have. People play the game the wrong way. They get in the ring and listen, this is a noble effort, right? And we've all been there and we've all done that, including myself. But I have learned for myself over time, and I have learned through working with hundreds of private practice owners, that if you don't start with you, reinvent yourself, and then take that to reinvent your firm. And you can do it alongside, but there has to be an emphasis on both, not just the firm. When you're actually willing to reinvent you and the firm and give that attention and that space to developing yourself, to stepping into being who you need to be, everything changes. Everything changes. You don't see problems the same way you used to see them. You don't experience conflict the same way that you do now. And no matter how evolved you think you are, there's a next level. And it's going to be required if you want to go take your firm to the next level. So all of this it can feel really amorphous to someone and vague. It's like, well, how do I get my hands around that? But that's why we offer at Velocity Work, the things that we offer is to help you, yes, make plans for your firm. Yes, shoot for what you want. What is it that you're wanting? What is the life that you want? And then let's work backwards to figure out what does the firm need to do? And then how do we need to reverse engineer from that? And who do you need to be through all of this? How do you need to reinvent yourself? What transformations do you need to make sure that you are stepping into and stepping up for so that you can actually create this result you want to create? It's a very, very different approach than most consulting services take. And I genuinely think that what I am talking about right now, this is why Velocity Work is the future of law firm consulting, which, joke is on that phrase that it's not really consulting, it's coaching. I don't tell people what to do. I push them. I push their edges so that they're playing all like full out to the best of themselves, right? But I do not tell them what to do. I help them develop what is like basically declare what has seemed impossible, declare it as possible. And there's going to have to be a reinvention that gets you there. And you're going to have to reinvent yourself also. So let's go. And we help facilitate all of that at once. That, I promise you, is worth putting your resources into, is to getting help with facilitation around this. And this is what we do. Sometimes I talk about things that are really concrete on this podcast, about time management and about things, all of that. Like I talk about really concrete things. And sometimes I'm trying to have conversations on this podcast that help you understand that there is something bigger at play here. Everything that I bring to you on the podcast that is tactical, you will always hear me say when I'm presenting that stuff, that this is about being who you need to be in order to have what you want to have. And in order to create what you want to create. And so this is more of that conversation. Because if you don't get that, if you don't understand that, you can implement all the tactics in the world and you'll get yourself to a certain place, but you will never see your full, what was really possible for yourself. And when I say what's possible, again, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. It doesn't need to be a number. Like, I don't think that everybody needs to grow their firms to be in the millions. I think you could have an exceptional life with a firm that is doing much less than $1 million, but you can have the lifestyle you want to have, and you don't have to work as much as you're working right now, and your revenue and your finances of the firm can be really healthy. That it's more about that when I'm working with people is, what do you want to create for yourself with having this law firm? And there are some people in that batch that they just keep leveling up to the next level of revenue because they start to get themselves to the place where they can see and they have space and they want to see what's possible. And so they want to put their foot on the gas and they want to see how can they further and better develop their team? How can they create this environment that is so wonderful to be in for the people that work there, and they keep developing the capacity for that, which means their firm is going to grow, right? And some people are more client focused. How can I see how many clients I can serve with this quality? Because we've gotten ourselves to this place. I'm not working as many hours as I used to. The firm is really running well. What capacity do I need to develop within myself to be able to see the next level? So people usually do want to see the next level, and they want to see the next level, and they want to see the next level. But if that's not you listening to this, I want you to understand that's fine. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you are plugged into what you want to create, and that you understand a reinvention is going to be necessary to get yourself there and be able to sustain that success, whatever that success is that you've named. Now, there's something else I want to say here, because sometimes when I talk to law firm owners about this, especially if self-development is foreign to them or it's just not something they've really been into in the past, and there's someone specific in my mind that I think about that I've had conversations with around this topic, and they kind of look at me like I have a third eye on my head. And it's because they're concerned that the imperative to reinvent themselves before they reinvent their firm, to them, maybe it implies that there's something wrong with the way they're currently operating. And that is not what I mean. That is not true. I think that it couldn't be further from the truth. I think that what you have done, how you have operated to create the results you've created thus far is remarkable, but it's not sufficient to create the results you want to create. And so that's where it comes in. It's like the fact that you're in a place where you can see what you really want to create and you decide to take the approach of transformation to create that result, not just continuous improvement to create that result. That is not something everyone in this life gets to experience. So it's because you've done things right that you're in this place where you can consider this idea of transformation versus change. So I want to make sure that everybody understands when I am talking about this, it is not that I'm talking to you as listeners as you're doing it wrong. This is how you need to do it. It's an invitation to do it in a different way. It's an invitation to experience something like you've never experienced before because of how you're going to shift how you operate. You're going to transform how you operate. There's an author named Tracy Goss, and she wrote a book a long time ago called The Last Word on Power, like in the 90s, I think. So I guess maybe that's not a long time ago, depending on how you think about time. That's relative, but in the 90s. And she calls it your winning strategy. So you have been operating in such a way that has worked to get you where you are, but you have to scrap that strategy in order to get where you want to go. Meaning you have to transform how you have to re-identify how you operate and how you deal with problems and how you like everything. And so that is not just continuous improvement upon what you are. And it means that you need to scrap your winning strategy in terms of how you've operated, and you need to transform how you operate. You have to reinvent yourself in terms of how you operate so that you can transform the law firm into what it is that you have always imagined, to whatever it needs to be in order to provide what you want it to provide. So yeah, reinvention is not remedial work. It doesn't improve your skills. It takes you to someplace entirely new, to someplace unknown and this unfamiliar territory. And that is what actually creates the transformation or the reinvention of the firm. And listen, there's lots of tactical things along the way to implement. So it doesn't all need to be up in this mental framework area that you do the work. But when you implement, your tactics that you decide to implement will be very different if you reinvent how you operate. That's the important piece. So tactics for sure are a part of the journey, but not the same ones that you would choose right now. Not the same tactics where if you're just continuously improving things, then you go with certain tactics. If you are reinventing yourself and you are transforming yourself in terms of how you operate, you make different choices with your tactics. When you reinvent yourself, you are increasing your self-awareness. You are increasing your clarity for where it is that you want to go. You are increasing your capacity to make really strong, well thought out plans to get to where you want to go. You increase your capacity to follow through on those plans. You don't react to things. You are proactive. You take full responsibility for every result that you get. You go on facts, not feelings. You are in control of your time, of your calendar. You're deliberate with the minutes each day, each week. And that includes leisure time, what I call leisure time, free time, time to rejuvenate. That's all included here. So, the more, when you are working to reinvent yourself, these are all the byproducts of doing that work, of looking at things in a new way, is increased awareness, increased clarity, better plan making. You take planning more seriously and you follow through. You have this relationship of integrity and trust that you are going to honor your plans. You have control of your time and you're very intentional with your time. And that means with work and that means outside of work. So all of these things, you just increase your capacity. And when you do that, it increases your capacity to have things that you've wanted to have. And it increases your capacity to be able to be the kind of leader you're going to need to be in order to create that kind of firm and transform your firm into the firm that you want it to be. It is an amazing journey. And if this resonates with you at all, I highly recommend that you plug into Velocity Work. This is an invitation. We have the sprint coming up, which if there's a spot left, you can totally take us up on that. But we also have Mastery Group, which is the coaching program where this combination of how you think about yourself and who you need to be and really solid plans and getting into the tactics with your firm, all of that is accomplished inside of Mastery Group. So I just want to invite you to reach out, to plug in, to use the ethos that we've created to do this work. All right, everybody. Lots of food for thought for you today, but this is the kind of stuff, I was preparing this podcast. I'm like, so what's the point? What do I want them to walk away with here? Like, what's the thing I'm going to say at the end to wrap all this up? But it is just that, what we've talked about. How can you adopt a mental framework that leans towards transformation instead of just continuous improvement? And if you're willing to do that, then the second thing is you've got to be willing to transform yourself, to reinvent yourself so that you can reinvent the firm. And it doesn't mean scrapping everything you've built at all. It just means the mental framework that you apply to how you think about your growth, getting away from continuous improvement and thinking more in terms of reinvention and transformation. And if you're willing to do that, then you got to look at, okay, this starts with me. It starts with me. Be the kind of owner that you need to be in order to have the life and the firm that you want to have. All right, everybody. I'm going to leave you with that. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you here next Tuesday. Hey there. If you enjoyed this podcast, I highly recommend you come and check out Mastery Group. It is where owner attorneys come together to study this material, apply it, and thus create really big results for their firm and for their life. So come on over, velocitywork.com/join to get more information and get started. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.